Back in their dorm, Ray and Avi spend their time doing various exercises. As challenging as these routines might seem for them, they decide to go on, hoping to reach their set target for the day. After that, the two drink a cup of protein each, since they believe that replenishing their protein is the best thing to do once their training is over. Shortly after, while they are resting, Avi seeks to know if Ray wishes to go on with his plan of joining two clubs. In response, Ray confirms this to be positive. Furthermore, he claims that he wants to try everything since he has come to the academy. His friend, however, is worried that he will have a hard time, but Ray seems to have made up his mind to prove to Avi just how capable he is of coping in the two clubs. He reveals his gold hunter license. Seeing this, Avi is shocked to the bone. Later that day, Ray heads out to join the first club, which happens to be the Environmental Research Club. He barges into the room and surprisingly sees a group of physically strong men with huge muscles. Getting here, he introduces himself as Ray White, the leader of the club. Upon examining Ray, the leader believes he is not capable of joining them. This is more because he thinks Ray will not be able to perform his duties efficiently as a hunter in the club, since he is an ordinary. As much as the leader claims to not discriminate against ordinary people, he thinks Ray's casual-looking body and dull spirit are not what they are looking for in the Environmental Research Club. As expected, the other members agree with him, stating that he is too skinny to join them. Wanting to give Ray a chance, the leader demands that he takes off his clothes before they talk further. Just then, Ray takes off his clothes, unveiling a well-crafted and physically appealing body. This makes the other members open their mouths in awe as they all wonder how he had been hiding such muscles. Seeing the muscles, the leader commends them, referring to them as good muscles obtained from training. At this time, Ray reveals that he had gotten them from training in his hometown forest. After that, the leader brings out his gold hunter license, seeking to know if Ray has a card like that. Shockingly, Ray reveals his, making the other members realize that he is no ordinary, but even more skilled than the rest of them. Realizing just how excellent his talent is, the leader walks up to Ray and welcomes him into the Environmental Research Club. This makes the other members excited. Next, Ray goes to join the next club. There, he meets just girls headed by a lady, Rebecca. When asked why he wants to join the club, he narrates his interest in plants that are doing their hardest to survive. While Rebecca doesn't have an issue with him joining the club, she reminds him that there are no guys there. When he doesn't seem to have a problem with this, she tries to accept him into the club, but it is cut short by Dina, who believes he has only come to join the club because of Rebecca. The other girls, however, seem to think the same as her. Furthermore, they wonder how they can accept a boy into the garden since they feel his presence will make the flowers wilt. This is due to the fact that he is an ordinary. To settle this, Rebecca leaves Ray to Dina, hoping that she will give him a befitting test to see if he is good enough to be in the club. Before his test, Dina takes Ray to a large field, asking him to tidy it up in a week and make it suitable for planting. While she leaves, she blurts out the fact that he will not be able to get it done on time. Determined to prove her wrong, Ray takes off his shirt and gets right to work. With each passing day, Ray advances so fast in the job. Fortunately, he enjoys the company of his friend Avi while working, even under the watchful eyes of Eliza. On the third day, while working, Rebecca brings him some snacks. When he tastes the sandwich that she has brought, he finds it to be very delicious. Just then, Rebecca reveals the fact that this is her favorite meal, which she had asked the academy to provide for her. While Ray is thrilled that she can do something like that, she reminds him of her status as the student council president. Hearing this, Ray finds her to be even more amazing since she is also a member of the top 3 families. Excited at his appraisal of her, she gives him a chance to ask her anything. However, while he intends to do that, their conversation is interrupted by the sound of sticks hitting against each other. When the two look down to see what's going on, they see 2 boys training. Seeing them, Rebecca realizes that they are preparing for the Sorcery Swordsman tournament, which is scheduled to happen soon. Surprisingly, Ray doesn't seem to know about this. When he asks Rebecca, she reveals that it is a tournament to decide the strongest sorcery swordsman amongst the students. Just then, she asks if he will attend the tournament, but he asks to be given time to think about it. Shortly after, Rebecca is lost as she stares at Ray's muscles. After staring at him for a while, she asks permission to touch his arm a bit. When he lets her, she is thrilled at how tough they are, also admiring just how thick his body and biceps are. This gives Ray another chance to talk about how he had trained them in his hometown's forest. While she finds this great, she claims it's her first time touching a guy's muscles. Meanwhile, the other girls in the club are angry about how close Ray is getting to Rebecca. They claim that he has now gotten close to Amelia and is trying to do the same with Rebecca. The mere sight of this gets them angry. At this time, Amelia stares at Ray and Rebecca from a corner without saying a word. On the fourth day, Ray finishes the test he had been assigned, and the girls in the club find it intriguing. When he asks Dina what her opinion on the test is, she hesitantly states that he has passed the test. With their new garden ready, Rebecca gets the girls ready to plant new flowers. Later that day, Ray takes a walk. On his way, he recollects the secret mission he had been given. Apparently, he had been instructed to find out who the spy from the Empire was, since the spy could be hiding in the army. Ray had been sent there to find them. While he ponders about the instructions he had been given, he sees Clarice squatting and lost at the sight of something. When he calls out to her, she is startled at first but realizes that he was the one who called her. She scolds him for calling her name out of the blue, which seemed to have scared her. However, he apologizes and asks why she is squatting. In reply, she shows him a pill bug she was looking at. Although she thinks it is strange for a noble lady like her to be interested in bugs, most especially since other girls like her are usually interested in dogs and cats, she recalls this as the reason why she has a few friends to lift up her mood. Ray informs her about how great her personality is, then he reveals his not sincere likeness to bugs, offering to be her friend. The sound of the word friend seems unusual for Clarice as she openly expresses her shock at this. This is more due to the fact that Ray would be the first friend she has. As much as she tries to hold her excitement, Ray promises to tell her about the bugs he had encountered in the forest. The next day at school, the teacher asks a complicated question about sorcery and directs the question at Ray. He explains it in complete detail, illustrating each with a definitive and detailed example. Answering such a question makes the students stare at him in shock. One of them, named Albert, seems to have a hidden hatred for Ray and is pissed that he's able to answer the question. At the end of the class, the teacher announces the return of the Kafka for a skill practical training. To participate, the students are instructed to divide themselves into parties of 4. While the other students seem to have their teams sorted out, Ray ponders about his next line of action. His thoughts are, however, interrupted by Avi, who asks that Ray teams up with him. For clarity, Ray seeks to know if it is okay since he is very bad at magic. However, Avi cares less about that and reminds Ray of just how good he is at physical activities, believing his status as a gold hunter to be worth 100. For the third member of their team, Ray invites Eliza to team up with them. She, however, silently declines since she believes herself to be one with weak stamina. But Ray gives her the motivation that she needs, promising to support her together with Avi to fill up the space for a fourth member. Amelia asks that she joins them. In response, Ray assures her that her spot has been vacant all along. The fact that Amelia joined Ray's group gets everyone surprised, most especially because she's been scouted by many other teams. On the day of training, the teacher gives instructions, openly stating that the objective of the goal is reaching the goal at the center of the forest. She reminded them to collect as many stamps as possible, further stating that the time limit for the training is 24 hours. Also, as a precaution, she lets them know that the forest they are about to go into is full of monsters, all of which they must fight with resolve. As much as this is their first skill practical training, she urges them not to think of calling for help or risk repeating the year. Then she urges them all to get ready at their starting point. While Ray's team waits at their designated starting point, Eliza is scared. However, Amelia's words motivate her enough to gain courage. Meanwhile, Ray and Avi stand side by side as Avi wonders if Ray is agitated. At this time, Ray once again recounts his experiences running around in the forests and mountains. When the teacher's voice is heard from a distance, they realize that the training is just about to begin. When it does, they run into the forest as fast as they can, advancing deep into the forest. Eliza is attacked by a large-looking beetle. Seeing this, Avi and Amelia take their stance against it. Fortunately for them, Ray charges from behind them and cuts the beetle in half. Witnessing this, they all find it intriguing. Amelia, however, is thrilled at the fact that he had just cut the monster down with one slice. Meanwhile, while Ray's team seems to be advancing so well in their training, the other teams struggle with something as simple as direction. Later that night, Ray's team sets up camp to rest. Amelia is excited at how far they've come and how much chance they have to come out in first place in training. When they begin to question just how good he is at surviving, Avi brags about his status as a gold hunter. On the other hand, Ray tells them that he encountered many monsters in his hometown forest, making it easy for him to fight against the monsters that now show themselves. This time, Amelia openly shows her doubt about his consistent hometown forest stories. This gets him wondering if this well-thought-out lie to explain his abilities has now been figured out. Later that night, while the others sleep, Ray ponders on the words of his master, who had earlier told him to find people he can trust who would help him in his mission. Looking at Avi, Amelia, and Eliza, he considers telling them but doesn't. And the next morning, they hear a loud scream from afar, and Ray runs in the direction of the scream. Getting there, he sees Albert's team in danger of being eaten by a monster. Swiftly, he stabs the monster in the head. The fact that he killed this monster so easily makes Amelia wonder who he truly is. Just then, a shadow in the woods throws something at the monster, which brings it back to life, making it transform into a more vicious form. However, Ray maintains his stance, ready to fight.